What next for Raila Amolo Odinga? That's the question which most Kenyans are asking. After President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy held a meeting at Statehouse for 3 good hours, and later on, the Building Bridges Initiative Secretariat announced the postponement of the launch of signature collection, which was supposed to be presided over by the president and Raila Amolo Odinga. What next for Raila Amolo Odinga? And for those who've been following the Building Bridges Initiative process very closely, last week Raila Odinga was very bullish that the launch was going to happen on Thursday this week. And again, early this week, Raila Odinga was still very sure that they were going to launch the signature collection with the president.
Now, let me just now tell you the roadmap to the final launch of the signature collection. We are going to be talking to some representatives of the governors between now and next Tuesday. Then on Tuesday we will be meeting with women representatives and leaders of the county assemblies, after which now we will be doing the launch of the signature collection sometimes next week. We want that exercise to be done as quickly as possible so that the matter can then be handed over to the Electoral Commission, and then we can move towards the next phase of a referendum.
And this is early this week.
Does that mean that there is no more changes to this document if you're saying that it is going to publication this week?
Yeah, we say that issues which are editorial will be dealt with, and we think that between today and tomorrow, that will be the end of it.
Where are they going to be accommodated if you're saying that the only thing that is remaining is editorial work? And yesterday, Deputy President Deputy President William Ruto said that how come you take 2 years with a document and you end up with a document that is bad, according to him?
Those are his views.
Yeah.
Those are his views. According to the other views, this document is very good, like the MCAs.
Yeah.
So the question is, what next for Raila Amolo Odinga? I've been going through various comments after the postponement of that particular event. And 3 theories are actually emerging online. The first theory which is emerging is that Raila Odinga is actually being played by President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Samoei Ruto. And some are even equating the current happenings to what happened to Raila Amolo Odinga with the Mau Forest, where he took the face of the conservation of Mau Forest, while Mwai Kibaki was the president then, took a backseat. And later on, that Mau Forest was used to set him up against his supporters in the entire Rift Valley. So is Raila Odinga being played? Then the second theory is that William Ruto is actually being fattened for slaughter by both President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga. And those advancing this theory are arguing that William Ruto has spent 2 good years opposing this particular report. And then when the report was about to be launched, the signature collection, which was actually going to be the last one, then now he called for consensus. So what Uhuru and Raila are doing to him is that they want to bring him on board. So they suspended the signature collection, brought him on board, and then he's going to be cornered. Because ultimately, even they're saying that even next week, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga might actually launch this particular exercise, the signature collection. So there's no way he will now run away from being part of the process. And the third theory is that President Uhuru Kenyatta is just keen on bringing every other person or all Kenyans on board as part of his strategy to pass this particular bill without any contention. But why is this Building Bridges Initiative process so important to Raila Amolo Odinga? I want us to look at that before we go into What next for him? But before we go into all those details, if you're watching this video for the first time, I want you to take a second or two and click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Now let's get back to the main issue. Why is the Building Bridges Initiative process important to Raila Amolo Odinga? 3 reasons. Number 1 is 2022 politics. None other than Raila Amolo Odinga has announced severally that he's not going to declare his bid for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya until after the Building Bridges Initiative process. So basically, Raila Odinga's 2022 politics is tied to the Building Bridges Initiative process. Remember, Raila Odinga has contested for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya severally. And there are even those who believe that he has actually won. But he's never been declared the president of the Republic of Kenya. So Raila Odinga was hoping that this Building Bridges Initiative process was going to enable him for the first time to now succeed in his bid. So Building Bridges Initiative process is so dear to Raila Amolo Odinga in terms of 2022 politics. Again, he can even use it to form an alliance with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Number 2 is the handshake. When President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga entered into the handshake in 2018 in March, most people were caught by surprise. And most Raila Odinga supporters never embraced this handshake. Just like Uhuru Kenyatta's supporters never embraced this handshake initially. But later on, Raila Odinga supporters started embracing the handshake. So as part of the handshake, they came up with a 9-point agenda. And one of them was to consolidate all 9 points agenda to find a solution to the problems which are normally facing Kenya each and every election cycle. So they came up with the Building Bridges Initiative process. So which means if the BBI process is going to fail, then it will mean one thing, that the main objective of the handshake shall have collapsed. In fact, that's why I always insist that the BBI is actually a project, a baby of President Uhuru Kenyatta. And Uhuru Kenyatta is not going to allow it to collapse. As a matter of fact, the Building Bridges Initiative process is going to run its circle. If it's going to fail, then it's going to be a big failure for President Uhuru Kenyatta and for Raila Amolo Odinga. And I'm not sure whether the 2 gentlemen will be willing to take that risk. And number 3, I think the Building Bridges Initiative process also provides Raila Amolo Odinga with an opportunity to lock out William Samoei Ruto from the system. If you listened to Fred Okengo Matiang'i on Sunday in Kisumu during the meeting with governors, he was clear, especially on his Facebook page, they were clear that he was representing the central government, which means the Building Bridges Initiative process was actually a government or a systems project. So by supporting it and the deputy president opposing it, it means he was going to be locked out of that. And it means the deputy president was going to be locked out of that particular process. And this is what the deputy president has seen and is not allowing it to happen. The deputy president cannot allow Raila Amolo Odinga to remove him or to kick him out of the system. But Raila Odinga is keen on using this Building Bridges Initiative process to remove William Samoei Ruto or to kick him out of the system. But what next for Raila Amolo Odinga? That's the biggest question. Because let's assume that the Building Bridges process is going to stall. Let's assume President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to continue meeting with his deputy. And by the way, both Raila Odinga and William Ruto are outside the country as we speak. Raila Odinga is in DRC. I don't know for what reason, but that's what I've gathered. And William Samoei Ruto has also left the country. He actually left the country yesterday for medication. That's what I've read. The 411 update by Capital FM. So the 2 gentlemen are actually outside the country. So I want you to feel how the country can be without the 2 guys in the country. But what next for Raila Amolo Odinga? In my view, Raila has very few options. The first option for Raila Amolo Odinga, in my view, is to continue pushing President Uhuru Kenyatta to agree to fix a new date to launch this particular project. Because last week, Raila Odinga was very clear that this project, they need to do away, this process, they need to do away with it. So he must appeal to President Uhuru Kenyatta to set a new date so that the process can be launched. And once it's launched, then the propaganda that is being used is going to die a natural death. But if you want to convince President Uhuru Kenyatta to launch this particular signature collection within the shortest time possible, then William Ruto is going to carry the day as far as the Building Bridges Initiative process is concerned. So in my view, that's the first step Raila Odinga must take. He must convince the president to launch the signature collection within the shortest time possible. If possible, next week would be ideal, so that it can be said that the reggae was stopped or the volume was reduced to allow for the bill to be published. So that's number one. The second option he has, in my view, is for him to take a low profile and let President Uhuru Kenyatta now carry the burden of the Building Bridges Initiative, or to be the face of the Building Bridges Initiative process. From the onset, the strategy of President Uhuru Kenyatta was very clear, and Raila Odinga. They agreed, and this I'm informed, that Raila Odinga was going to be the face of the Building Bridges Initiative process. And Uhuru Kenyatta was going to support it, but from the background, because he's the head of state. And of course, there are those who are going to oppose the process. There are those who are going to support the BBI process. But now, Raila can then use this opportunity, this window, to allow the president now to take the face of this campaign. Because if it's going to fail, the guy who's going to carry the burden is going to be the president, if he's now the face. But if Raila will continue being the face of it, then it will also mean that he's going to carry the burden of failure should the process fail. So in my view, that's another option for Raila Odinga. He can decide to take a low profile. Last week, Raila Odinga was bullish on this process. He was sure they were going to collect the signatures. In my view, even if they decided not to have official launch, another statement would have come out with a date. So Raila Odinga can take a low profile and allow President Uhuru Kenyatta to be the face. Number three, Raila Odinga can identify experts, the Building Bridges Initiative experts, and identify the contentious issues in the document. Because if you followed the church, the presentation by church and their memorandum, they raised certain issues. But again, the church never supported the referendum in 2010, but they raised some fundamental issues. So Raila Odinga and the committee of experts should actually sit down and identify some of these contentious issues. Once that's done, then Raila Odinga can then now come out publicly and tell Kenyans that after listening to various views, they've identified these as the issues. And then once those issues are identified and is telling Kenyans that these are the issues, then what can happen then is that Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta can then go back and collect views in quotes and then panel beat the document based on those new changes. Because the truth of the matter is that the governors wanted changes. MCS wanted changes. The church wanted changes. Some of those changes are personal, which cannot find their way into this document. For example, the pension for governors. It can't work. The church, there are certain issues the church want to be included or removed from that particular recommendation, the report, which in my view cannot be done away with. So you can identify those issues, then the panel beat, then prepare another report. But lastly, which I think is also the best option for him, is to identify the Building Bridges Initiative selling points. Because what Kenyans are being fed today is propaganda. If not propaganda, the opponents have identified the weaknesses in the Building Bridges Initiative process. So these guys have identified some weak points, which they are running away with. So Raila Odinga and his team of experts should then identify some selling points and then send them out to public for consumption to counter the propaganda. So that by the time we go for signature collection, it's only positive vibes outside there. I don't know what you think, but in my view, I think Raila Odinga is in a fix on this particular building bridges initiative process, unless it's a game they're playing with President Uhuru Kenyatta. But if not, those are the options he has. Let me hear your thoughts on this particular matter. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.